Alright, what's up guys? Welcome. My name is Mack and today we'll be going through a Davinci Resolve tutorial on how to do a Luma fade. So I was trying to figure this out because I was watching one of Sam Kolder's videos. And I figured that is a really clean, nice way to make a transition into another scene. So after playing around with it in Davinci Resolve, we figured it out. And I wanted to put a tutorial out here for you guys just to kind of share the knowledge and help you out. Everything I'll be doing today is in Davinci Resolve 16, and I'm using the free version. So everything you can do is in Davinci Resolve free. There's two different ways to do it. The first way that I found is the easiest is in the color tab, and the color tab is what I'll start with first. And the second option is in the Fusion tab, so Davinci Resolve Fusion. So with that said, I'll go ahead and open up Davinci Resolve, pull up the timeline, add in a couple clips. And so we have our two clips here, and I'll be showing you the first method, which is in the color tab. So what you want to do, you want to get your first clip in the timeline, which is the clip that you're going to be starting with, and you'll want to put that in video 2. So video 2 is going to be the first clip, so you'll start with this, and then you'll fade into the next scene. So I'll put this next clip down here, down on video 1. And so what it'll look like now is going from this mountain view down to this, the boats. So I want the transition to happen starting about here. So I'll just do Control B for cut. And then I'll move this over here. And one thing I like to do is link these two clips together, which is with Control Alt L. That links the clips together so they can stay in the same position. So next I'll take these over into the color tab. And with this, in this piece, we'll be working with a couple things. We'll be working in the keyframes portion, and we'll also be working in the qualifier tab, so the qualifier luminance specifically. So we'll go to this node 1, and I'll do Alt S for serial node, and I'll just add a couple. I add 5 because I like to do all my color grading and effects. I like to do my color grading in 1 through 4, and then I'll do the effects in 5. So with this 5th node selected, you're going to want to right click and hit Add Alpha Output. That'll allow all your alpha values to source through. So you'll drag this to there, and then still with node 5 selected, you'll go down to the keyframes panel, click on corrector 5, and make sure this is where we want the transition to start. So we'll wiggle that, and that'll give us a keyframe at the very beginning of the transition. And so with this, we'll go to where we want the transition to end, just a few seconds, and we'll take this low value and drag it all the way to 100. And so as you can see, it's going to be a really quick transition, but what we have right here is, so far, just shines through. So if that's too quick of a transition, what you can do is zoom in over in the keyframes section and then move it over to the right a little bit. So that'll make it last a little bit longer. And one thing I forgot to mention is you can actually do this from either side. So if you look up in the media tab, let's make this a little bit bigger. So if you start down here and you drag from the left, which is the dark side leading all the way to the light, it'll leave all those lighter luminance values in, and that is where your transition will come from. But you can also do it from the right-hand side, and that means if you drag from the light to the dark, it'll leave all your dark luminance values in for the transition. So I like it the way I had it in the beginning. So the keyframes are already there, so if we do Control F for full screen, and we go back from the beginning, there you have it. There's our luminance fade. Alright, so the next one that we'll be doing is in the Fusion tab. In this one, I don't really like this one as much. Like I said, I use the color tab more often just because if you use the color tab, you can still color grade each individual clip without having to open them separately in the timeline. And I'll show you what I mean when we're doing the color grading for the Fusion version. So now we'll go back into the timeline. I'll unlink these clips. Actually, I'll just go ahead and delete these clips and start over. So I'll drag them both in. We'll start at the mountain again and go to the lake, except with this one where we want the transition to start. We'll do Control B to cut. And this time, instead of linking the clips, we will right click and do New Fusion Clip. So now, as you see, both of those clips have disappeared and have become one clip. So unlike the last one, now we'll go to the Fusion tab. And in the Fusion tab, typically you have one media in and a media out. And now you see we have a media in 1 and a media 2. So the media 2 or the media 1 will throw in the first viewer. Media 1 is the clip that was on the bottom portion. So that's the clip that you're going to end on. So all the effects that we're going to do are going to be in media 2. So we'll drag media 2 up into the first viewer so you can see it, and we'll leave our media out in the right viewer. So what you're going to want to do in media 2 is shift spacebar, and that'll bring up your select tool selector. And what you can do here is type in Luma here. And so now what you can see in the media out, you see kind of this blurry mix of clips. And this is the Luma keyer already doing its job. So we just need to mess around with some of the settings a little bit to make it work. So we'll make sure our Luma keyer is selected. We'll go over here to our inspector tab. And you can see we could operate on a bunch of different channels. The one we'll be focusing on today is luminance. So we'll click on the luminance. And then we have this slider. So right now I don't have any keyframes, but if you drag it from the left to the right, you can see how the clip evolves in that media out. And so I'll drag the right to the left, 0, 0. So now with that, what we're going to want to do is go to the very beginning. And the beginning is going to be 0, 0. So that means our top clip is going to be shown fully. We'll add a keyframe. We'll go, let's see, about 30 frames in, add another keyframe, and then we'll take both points on this slider all the way to 1. You can't just leave them, you can't leave one on 0 and the other one on 1 because then you'd be left with that mix. So now that they're both on 1, we'll play it through and see what it looks like. Here you go. Let's take it into the timeline and get a full view. So this is what we have right now. Alright, so that was the Fusion way of doing it. I already showed you the color version. So now what I was talking about earlier with the color grading of this, because color grading to me is one of the later stages of my workflow editing. So that's the reason I like the color version better is now if you take this Fusion clip and go into the color tab, you see that you only have a Fusion clip, which is made up of 2 separate clips. So if you try to color grade it now, it gets a little wonky. The way around that is go back to the Edit tab, go to your timeline viewer, do this view, right click on the Fusion clip, and hit Open in Timeline, which is up towards the top. So that'll open your Fusion clip individually in the timeline, and then you can click on one and go to color. And now you have both of them that you can edit individually while still within that Fusion tab. So then if you wanted to go back to your timeline, close it, and the color grade would be applied to both clips individually. But that was it. That was how we did the Luma fade or Luma transition. It's very simple. And guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking with me. This was a lot of fun to learn how to do, and I'm looking forward to implementing it in more videos. I hope this helped you. If you have any other questions or if you have any ideas on tutorial videos that I should try to post, let me know in the comments. I'll try to reply back and get back to you as soon as possible. just let me know, because I had a lot of fun doing this one. All right, everybody, stay safe. We'll talk soon.